The Unwed Husband by Burr. It's me. Dedication. Dedicated to those who get it right the first time. I'm not a perfectionist. I just expect perfection. Chapter 1, Year 13. I'm not a perfectionist. I just expect perfection. Rob Sandler's shirts were always cleaned and pressed by the dry cleaners, not passably pressed or smoothed out in the dryer ironed. No, Rob's shirts were perfectly pleated like origami swans, crisp enough to slice bread. This was a man who believed in symmetry, in order, in lint rollers in every room. He also believed, perhaps mistakenly, that a good marriage was a lot like a good filing system, color-coded, easily accessible, and free of debris. For 14 years, he and Rhonda had maintained a respectable kind of happiness that sort of looked happy online. On their 10th anniversary, she gave him a pen with his initials engraved in gold. He gave her a monogrammed jewelry box made of reclaimed teak. They had matching toothbrush holders shaped like tiki gods. And for 12 of those years, they even brushed at the same time. They had history, real, messy, beautiful history. They met at an architecture tour in Palm Springs, both reaching for the last brochure on Richard Neutra's desert houses. She'd smiled and said, "Winner gets to narrate." And for some reason that became their thing, him talking, her listening, both building something together. Sunday mornings were for French press coffee and jazz. They danced in socks on hardwood floors. They made plans, even if life didn't always follow the blueprint. The topic of children had come up. Well, of course it had. But somewhere between her promotion and his business expansion, they both agreed to revisit it next year. Then a few years slipped by, then a few more. Eventually, the subject became something they smiled gently at, like a vacation photo from a trip they never took. Still, there was comfort, warmth, familiarity. They were very successful in their careers. He was heading up a company surrounded in the world of high tech. She had a landscape and floral company. They had a house in Tahoe, a condo in the city, house in Marin, and they were looking to add a beach house to their growing portfolio. Everything was good with them until round about year 13. Yep, something shifted right around year 13. He couldn't quite put his finger on it at first. Maybe it was the way Rhonda stopped laughing at his jokes, or worse, started patting his arm like a sympathetic aunt, or how her eyes glazed over whenever he launched into his usual monologue about mid-century woodwork design integrity. Then came the dishwasher incident. Rob had always been precise about loading patterns, plates by size, bowls angled left, cutlery sorted, knives blade down. Rhonda used to comply. She even teased him about it, playfully. Until one Thursday night, when she dumped all the silverware in the same slot and muttered, "It all gets clean anyway." Rob stood there, tongs in hand, feeling like she just told him the moon landing was faked. "Rhonda," he said, "that's chaos." She smiled, brushing a wisp of her brown hair off her forehead. It's efficiency, sweetheart. Try it sometime." That was the first time he Googled emotional infidelity at 2 a.m. Not because Rhonda was cheating, but because he felt like someone somewhere was getting the better version of him, and it wasn't him. And then there were the pillows, the throw pillows. They started with 4, then mysteriously multiplied like a cotton-based bacteria until the bed needed to be evacuated nightly. Rob hated them. "It's a daytime bed," he'd bark one night, stepping around the pastel fluff minefield. "A bed for show only. We can't even sit on it without an evacuation protocol." Rhonda, wearing a mud mask and calmly folding her robe, had simply replied, "It looks clean and cozy." "It looks like a showroom at Elm. Got into a bar fight with a marshmallow factory." But once, not long before the end, there had been a rare night that felt like before. It had started with a thunderstorm, one of those rolling Sierra Nevada evenings where the clouds grumble like they're hungry. The power flickered out just after 9 p.m., and Rob surprisingly didn't reach for the flashlight. Instead, he lit one of Rhonda's emergency candles, the kind that smelled like eucalyptus and regret. He made a mental note to get the generator repaired. They had wine, good wines, and ended up sitting on the floor in the living room like college kids, playing a half-hearted game of old-fashioned board game of Scrabble by candlelight. She made the word tangle. He countered with yearn. She raised an eyebrow. Romantic? Uncharacteristically, he said. Somewhere between her laugh and his second glass of Merlot, they wandered back to the bedroom, not out of habit, but out of want. And for a brief, warm stretch of time, it was easy to remember how they got there. Her skin still smelled like lavender. He still knew exactly where she liked to be touched. They didn't speak during. They didn't need to. It was quiet, clumsy, lovely, human. And then, of course, on his way to the bathroom, he tripped over an armful of rogue pillows and went down like a man shot by Cupid's clumsiest arrow, sprained his knee, spent the next week limping and muttering about domestic hazards and throw pillow litigation. He asked, no, demanded that she get rid of them. He stared at her, ice pack on his leg, realizing they now defined order in completely different languages. He didn't stop loving her, not then. She was still the woman who knew how to make his coffee just right, who'd once talked him through a panic attack before a big presentation by pretending to be his co-pilot. He just couldn't find her anymore. The next chapter will be Chapter 2, Intern on the Loose. Subchapter title, High Heels. Thank you for listening along.